Ducks fans, are you ready? You are listening to the Ducks and Pucks podcast. This is the #1 home for Anaheim Ducks talk and analysis. Here we go.
Welcome to the show. This is your host, Mike Walters, along with my co-host, Eddie Richard, and we have plenty to talk about with the Anaheim Ducks. A few things have been going on. We'll talk about the first couple weeks of games and our analysis of how they're doing well at some things and not so well at some things. And then we have a little bit of controversy with Carlsson and Zegras that we will debate. It should be a good show. Eddie and I have some strong opinions, and we're going to share them on this show with you. But before we get started, we always like to talk about what we're drinking. I'm doing Red Bull vodka. Eddie, what are you partaking in?
Good old H2O, water. No,
what?
So kidding. No. I know. You guys are gonna flip out. Nope. I'm actually feeling pretty gangster today. I'm drinking Death Row Records Hard Seltzer Happy Dad Grape.
Oh damn!
And I have a shooter. I have a shooter of Pink Whitney, which I'll cheers to everyone. Cheers, and I'll take the shot on the show.
Damn! You just blew me out of the water on that one. Holy crap! Well. I'm starting my vacation, by the way. I've been working, those of you that know what I do in my real job, I've been working my ASS off. Not a lot of days off in the last couple weeks. I am actually going to take this week off. I am going to Dallas to visit family, and I am going to partake in the Rams-Cowboys game. I don't have a lot of hope that my team's going to win, because the Rams have been very shaky lately, but I have not been to Texas yet. I have not been to Dallas Stadium, so I'm very excited to go visit them.
You never been to Texas, ever?
I mean, a layover on a plane, that doesn't count.
Yeah, it doesn't
I don't
count.
count that shit. That doesn't count.
Oh,
so yeah, it's my first time. I had family that moved from California. Yeah, I had family that moved from California, like the other million people that have left in the last 2 years or so. And they lived like 45 minutes, an hour north of Dallas. So we're going to meet up, a little family reunion. My uncle is also out there. He moved to Arizona, but he has an RV and he drove out there, so I'm going to see him as well. So it's going to be a big family reunion out there. Going to be out there 4 or 5 days, and then partake in a little bit of football action. Obviously, hockey is my #1 sport, but football is #2. So that's what's going to be going on with me. I'm just glad to take a break. I've been working like crazy lately. So.
Oh yeah, you deserve it. It's funny you mentioned I'm taking a trip too. But Mike, you're gonna like Texas. Texas was fun. I was stationed there for 6 months at San Antonio. I did my K-9 training there. I had a blast. The nightlife, the people I was with from the Air Force, Marines, and Navy, and obviously my Army buddies. Our whole unit was great there when we trained. We had it is probably one of the best experience I've had in the military in my life was being in San Antonio. So it's a fun environment. The people were great. So I hope you have a good time. And I'm actually taking a trip myself, Veterans Day weekend, leaving that Thursday night to Monday, going to Colorado just to visit some friends and hopefully catch an Avalanche game over there and just kind of get some R&R. I've been working my ass off. My 2 jobs, my business and my normal job, we're launching some new software development, boring stuff, but it's been super busy. And then I take my actual main vacation in January. So I'm not sure where I'm going to go yet, but it's going to be out of the country. So that should be fun. So I'm glad you're going to go, Mike. You deserve it. I hope you have a blast. Hope I get a drunk phone call one time. That'd be cool.
Yeah, well, yeah, my hours are screwed up at work, so you never know. It might be 2 or 3 in the morning. Who knows?
I still remember. I still remember I drunk called you after that lottery draft results. How pissed off I was about Chicago.
Yeah, I remember that too. I was in Arizona at that time, and I was at a bar drinking too, and I was not happy. But we'll talk about that too, because there's some stuff going on with Leo Carlsson, maybe playing another team with like Fantelli on there, and maybe Carlsson like didn't play in the game. So I don't know. We'll dive into that too. Eddie and I are pretty fired up about what's been going on with the Ducks lately. So let's just kind of dive into it. We had Summer Elder 46 on Instagram. He asked us, how do you think the Ducks are playing so far? And we'll break down the games. We won't go into like a lot of depth, but we'll talk about what's going on with the Ducks. And I mean, overall, I do like how the Ducks are playing. I think that now it's exciting to watch them play. Last year we were excited in the beginning. Halfway through the season, it was like, oh my God, we're doing horrible. And then it was like, you're almost hoping that they would lose, get a high draft pick. I hate to say that, but that's kind of how a lot of people felt, and that's kind of how we felt. Now they're in all the games. They've only won 2 so far, but I mean they've been in the games. They've had a crappy schedule. They started out at Vegas, then at home against Carolina. They played Dallas. And then, again, back-to-back Arizona and Boston. So, just kind of a screwed-up thing with the way the schedule was working, kind of against the Ducks, and they're playing tough teams. You've got, at least at the time of this recording, Vegas is still undefeated, and they played Boston. Boston is undefeated as well. We're recording at the tail end of the second game where the Ducks are playing Boston right now. And the Ducks look good in the beginning, but now they're not looking so good. But it's been crazy. But I think that they've done okay overall. If you look in the first, we'll kind of take them in groups, I guess, Eddie. The first couple games, they played Vegas. They ended up losing 4-1, but they were in that game till late. Vegas pulled away in the third, and they ended up losing. And then I went to the home opener against Carolina. Super wild game. The Ducks jumped out to a 3-0 lead. Carolina got back and made it close, and then the Ducks got a couple empty net goals, and they won that game. So, just those early reactions in the first couple games, I was very happy with what I saw. We'll talk about, obviously, special teams, which I'm not happy. But at least, there's an improvement. There's an excitement with this team. They're more competitive. They're not, getting down 2-3 goals right away and then we're like, screw it, they're out of it. I mean, they've been in every single game, Eddie. Just that first weekend, the first 2 games, my early impression is I was excited to see the product on the ice. Not a championship team, not a playoff team, but at least a team going in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what, Mike? This is the first time on our show's history that we're actually recording while the Ducks game is playing. Unfortunately, Boston scored again. They're up 3-1. But I think this is the first time we're actually recording during a live game. So it's pretty interesting. So we'll keep you updated on the score and what our thoughts about this game. But yeah, you know what? That opening night, which I missed, this is like the first time I missed opening night Ducks game since I moved back here. But my brother needed some help moving and other stuff like that. So, obviously my brother takes priority over anything else, especially after losing our dad. Like, my brother and I got so much closer. But he's going to owe me for that. He's going to owe me a game for me missing it. But, man, Frank the Tank came to play. It was a great game. Everyone thought Carolina was going to whoop on the Ducks, especially they were, like, a high offensive team coming into the game number 3. I'm glad they beat them. I'm glad they kept that record. For some reason, the Ducks love to play their hearts out and play like a Stanley Cup team every time they have a season opener or home opener. So it's always good to see that. The Vegas one, it wasn't too surprising that they're going to lose. I remember some guy posted on Twitter that he made a little bet, like $100 bet or $10 bet. If the Ducks won 4-1, he could win like $1,200. Unfortunately, he didn't win that. So that was bad. And then the game just kind of fluctuate, went up and down. The Ducks haven't really got blown out. They've been into games. I mean, obviously their special teams is still underwater, under the ice, however you want to call it. And the discipline has not been there. But you know what? Here's my take on it. I'm glad the Ducks are undisciplined. I'm glad they're playing like that. They're playing more dirtier and nastier. There's no identity to the team years before. So yeah, the penalties suck. It sucks that they always do that. But I'm at least glad they have some sort of identity. They're gonna play that way. Those dirty Ducks. It's the dirty 30 they call it. The 30th anniversary. Why not be dirty and start forming that identity? Some of the best teams that win the Stanley Cup have to have that feistiness and that nastiness going into it and winning. Look at Vegas. They ran the 3 centers and they had some guys on the back end that can throw their body around. They weren't afraid to do that. So. Overall, all these games I've seen so far, minus the Blue Jackets game when they benched Zegras and the whole Leo Carlsson situation, I think they've been pretty okay games, pretty good games. Like you said, not a championship team, not a Stanley Cup team, but it's a big improvement from last season. So that's all I asked for, and I just hope, and continue to hope that this team's going to keep getting better, figure out what they need to do to fix the special teams. And like I said, I have for this team. As a rebuild thing, I'm saying 2 to 3 years, maybe closer to 3 years, so the Ducks can actually be competitive. But they have a lot of work to do and a lot of things they need to fix. I'm here until the end. I don't care if the Ducks go 0-82. I'm still a Ducks fan. But yeah, I won't be surprised if Ducks still landed a top 3, top 4 pick come draft, and they're in the bottom of the standings again.
Yeah, it's been interesting those first couple of games too. You touched on a few things. The dirty 30 thing. My better half, she really likes Gudis, and that game at home against Carolina, he laid the hip check out early in that game, and then you saw them get into it at the end of the period in the intermission there too as well. There's more character with this team. There's more fire with this team. So I think that's been a huge plus. That's been something Eddie and I have talked about in the last couple seasons that the Ducks have not had, and it's there now. They're showing that. They're showing that flair. And it was interesting, too, in the first 2 games. You talked about Carlsson. He was hurt in practice. He fell into the boards on a one-on-one drill, and he ended up not playing in these first 2 games. Then the Ducks were at home against Dallas. I went to that game. We got to see Carlsson debut. You also got to see Luneau debut as well. And Carlsson scored in that game. Super exciting game. Troy Terry scored first in that one. Dallas came back, got a couple goals, but then Leo was able to score and tie it up in the third. At 2-2, and then of course a bad bounce off Fowler's skate, and the Ducks ended up losing that game. But another close game against Stanley Cup contending team, Dallas. So you got to see Carlsson in action then, and everybody was good with that. You got to see him again. They played Arizona, and he was in action there. The Ducks ended up losing that game. That game, to me, was kind of boring. The Ducks got down 2-0. Really not a lot happening. The Ducks did finally score on the power play, which is their only power play goal so far this season by our guy, Frank the Tank. And they lost that game 2-1. And then this is kind of where all the controversy stuff kind of starts. The Ducks played Boston again. They had a back-to-back weekend again, Arizona-Boston. They dropped both these games. And then they go on to Columbus, and they won that one in dramatic fashion. But you had the Carlsson not playing in the game against Boston. Then it came out that the Ducks had a development plan for Carlsson, but nobody really knew what the heck was going on. So he doesn't play in that game, and you're like, okay, they're kind of resting him. He did have the injury earlier in the season. The Ducks in this first game against Boston played him really tight too. They actually had a 1-0 lead in the third period. And then, unfortunately, their rookie, who had never scored 2 goals. It never happens, right? A guy that scores his first NHL goal against the Ducks. That I swear, that's every player on every team. But the Ducks lost that one 3-1 empty net goal, but it was a tight game. So then it's kind of sets up. You're like, okay, the Ducks are going to play Columbus. You got Fontelli, against Carlsson. It's going to be awesome. And then no, we find out that there's no Carlsson in this game. So I'm kind of leading into the other topic, but I won't dive into it too much. But it was just kind of weird that, we find out that Carlsson doesn't play 2 games back-to-back. The Ducks got down twice in this game against Columbus. They rallied back. They won. They got the overtime goal, and they were able to pull it out. Frank the Tank's been on fire for the Ducks. 5 goals already. He had the hat trick also in that home opener against Carolina. And, excitement with the Ducks. They still won the game. There was also drama with the Zegras getting benched in that game. We'll go into that, too, in just a second. But overall, what I've seen in these games is the Ducks are playing better at even strength. They're playing, at 48 49% for the Corsi 4 and Fenwick 4. A lot better, where last year they were just atrocious. Special teams is terrible. They're in the 70% for the penalty kill, and they're hanging on to 5% on the power play. Just stupid. The other big problem Eddie mentioned is the discipline. It's good in the sense that Eddie talked about more character, more toughness. We've seen the way that they've been a little bit more grit, energy, and whatnot. But they're also giving up 6 power plays against per game. It's holy crap. You can't do that. And they've been giving up power play goals, just left and right. They've given up 8 power play goals in those first 6 games. Crazy. So those are kind of my first thoughts overall, Eddie. It's really a tale of 2 teams. I feel like this team is great on 5-on-5, 4-on-4. They're fantastic. They could win every game. But in all these games so far, they're giving up power play goals, with the exception of that first game against Boston. They didn't give up one, a shocker. But they've been giving up, like, one or two power play goals against every game. It's a huge problem. I'm all for being nasty and playing hard and doing these things, but that's the part that's kind of killing me early on. What are your early thoughts before we dive into the whole Carlsson and Zegras thing? Because we'll get to that, and you and I are going to spend a lot of time on that.
I just like it's a different form team. I mean, compared to last season, this team just did a complete 180 the way they're playing. I mean, yes, Ducks usually have good starts of the season, and they rely both on the back end and the goalies take a lot of shots for those, but then reality finally sets in, and those teams that had those kind of decent starts in the beginning, they start weeding out, and the real teams, the real Stanley Cup competitors, the real Stanley Cup teams, they start coming to light. I like what I've seen so far. It's been some fun hockey, and I'm really itching to go to my first Ducks game of this season. Hopefully I can go soon. But yeah, I liked everything I've seen. Gudas is probably one of my favorite players, favorite signings. I love that grit. I love the nastiness of him. Yeah, the stupid penalties maybe have to go. But he likes to throw his body around. He likes to get into your face. Other teams know how he plays against, and they don't want any part of him. Mike, I know we were talking about. You were talking about you might be thinking about getting a Frank the Tank jersey. I'm actually thinking about getting a Gudas jersey just to rock on number 7 Gudas, get it signed, hang it. I like players like that. They're just, I don't know, for some reason I like that style of play. I like the physicality of it, and he really brings some needed protection that the Ducks didn't have. You know what? That game too, it gets Arizona. I know the Ducks' rivals are the Kings, or they were back in the day, but it seems like Arizona and Anaheim don't like each other one bit at all. It's just like all that animosity toward from last season when Terry got jumped and accosted. It just keeps bleeding over, and it's like I'm excited to watch these Arizona and Ducks games more than I'm actually excited than watching the Kings and Ducks, because for some reason it just seems like those teams don't like each other one bit, and I love that. That's a great rivalry, and I hope it keeps building from there. And I miss that old school kind of rivalry where you go to a game, or I guess you go to a hockey game and a fight breaks out or something like that. I miss those things, and it seems like Arizona and Anaheim are really building that rivalry and something. And hopefully it gets that worse. We can actually get another outdoor game. I mean, Arizona or Quebec, whatever they're going to move to. I mean, they can't stay in a college forever, but yeah, I don't know if you saw the interview, Mike, too. They asked Zegras about him playing at the Mullet Arena, and he just kind of started laughing. Man.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, too. I feel, especially with that Terry incident, I think that those two teams are definitely more of a rivalry. It seems like when they played the Kings as of late, it's been a lot more mellow. Even the Sharks, too, is our other, quote, California rival.
Wait, who?
They've seemed kind of mellow. Yeah, the Sharks.
Who?
You heard of that team?
No, but the AHL team that's like, what, 0-6 or something like that? 0-7?
Oh, damn. Wow. Times are rough in NoCal. Yeah,
NoCal, there we go.
Yeah,
I love it.
Perfect. Yeah, perfect for them. But I'm with you. It seems like, yeah, it's pretty intense when they play Arizona. So I'm really excited when Arizona comes to town. The way my schedule works this so far for the beginning of the season, I'll actually kind of works out. I'm gonna miss some of the Sunday games, unfortunately, but I'll be able to catch a lot of like the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday games. So I'm excited to see when they come to town and see how they play. But yeah, the biggest thing, I mean, I hate to harp on it, but the penalties have just been a killer with this team. I mean, you can't play a game, give up 6 power plays against, and expect to win. And the only way you do win is one of two ways. You either blow out the other team, which the Ducks did in Carolina. They jumped out to a 3-0 lead, ended up winning 6-3. Or your goalie has to play outstanding, and that's what we've had with Dostal on net. That game against Columbus, 35 saves on 37 shots on goal. And right? And we had that too, Super Bajorn 31 on Instagram asked, is Dostal ready to be the starting goalie? I say absolutely, hell yeah, he is. He's gotten the Ducks 2 wins so far, and he's looked fantastic. He's playing phenomenal. I mean, his save percentage before the 7th game against Boston is 9.27. Gibson not far behind 9.07, but I think Dostal's ready, and that's another thing I look to at this season. I'm really curious to see what they're going to do in net. They've kind of been alternating them so far, but I would like to see Dostal play more games, and I think that's one thing to monitor as the season goes on, Eddie.
Definitely. Let's start this again. Let's start the goalie controversy, because it seems like goalie controversies has been happening in Anaheim since the longest time in the world. I'm still team trade Gibson. I'm sorry. I like Gibson. He's a fantastic goalie, phenomenal. But I think his talents are being wasted right now in Anaheim. He's the kind of goalie that can get a team over that hump to get them to the Stanley Cup final and possibly win a Stanley Cup. What's the point of keeping John Gibson around if you're not going to be competitive for another 2, 3, maybe even 4 years? He's going to go past his prime. You're paying him. You have Dos ready to take over the reins as number one starter to get more games. He's looked sharp and fantastic the games he's played. He looks better, like way better than last season, even though he was still good last season. Why not trade Gibson, get more assets? The goalie market's really short. There's a lot of teams that need that kind of stability in net, that a game-changing goaltender. Why not exploit that and take advantage of that and get the biggest return you can and make a blockbuster deal that's only going to help push the Ducks to a faster rebuild? We can get higher draft picks. We can get a nice roster player that can fill the net with pucks or someone that can actually score on special teams. We need something different than that. We already have pretty about 1A, 1B. It's safe to say you can say that with the way Doss is playing. I mean, you started him opening night. He's getting more games. He has the more wins. I know it's still short in the season, but, I mean, come on. Like, something has to give. You can't just keep holding on to these goalies because you think you're going to be competitive this season. I don't know if you're smoking something over there for Beak and what he's doing over there, but you can't look at this team and say you're going to be a Stanley Cup contender in the next year or two. That's just kind of like unrealistic thinking for this team, especially how the league is going. A lot more skill. More teams are grinding up and beefing up their third line with potential players that can play on the first or second line in other teams if they didn't have that much skill. Look at Vegas. They have William Carlsson playing the third line, a center. He can, on a bad team, he could play the first line role. On an average team, he could play second line center role. But you have to actually stop and look at the bright future. You have a great goalie that you can have take over the starting role. You can go sign some backup goalie to alleviate some games off him and just unload Gibson and just get a full load return on him. It just that's the I don't know. It just makes sense to me to trade him. I don't know what you think about that, Mike.
No, I mean we've talked about that before on this show, and you thought it was going to happen in the summertime. It didn't. So did some other Frank, a different Frank the Tank, thought that was going to happen. Didn't quite work out like he said, but I still think there's a possibility that could happen during the season, and I'm with you because it kind of goes with one question that you talked about earlier. We had, and I love this name, #Daily Jaden on Instagram asked us, do you know how long the Ducks will be rebuilding? When will they make the playoffs? Well, I say they're at least 2 years out. You mentioned maybe closer to 3. But if you really want to get things going and get this team more competitive, I'm with you. I think you need to move on from Gibson. I like Dostal. I think he's ready. You trade Gibson. Maybe you get another goalie in the trade that'll play behind Dostal, and you try to get a top 6 forward or a top 4 defenseman. And the return, obviously, I don't think the return's going to be as good as what we could have got a year or two ago. You and I've talked about that ad nauseum, but I think if you're going to make a trade with this team and you want to pump them up and get them ready to go, that's what I would do, because I just think Dostal's the guy. I think Gibson needs a change of scenery, and that's how I feel. And so far, I mean, it's early. We're only in the 7th game right now, and Gibson's getting smoked here in the 7th game against Boston, but he hasn't really shown me why he should be the number 1 goalie. I think Dostal is the man that should be in there, and I'm with you. I say make a trade. Go get somebody that's going to propel this team a little bit farther, because I don't know what's going on with Gibson. I don't know if it's his groin injury that's never really gone away. It seems his side to side movement seems to be suspect. Recently in the last couple seasons. So I'm with you. I say, hey, let's go for it. Let's make a trade. And that was another question we had too from House of Comics. Would you make a trade? And yeah, I think that's the trade to make right now. I mean, you've got your defense. You brought in Gudis, you brought in Killorn, which we found out that Killorn was skating at Great Park Ice this week, so hopefully he'll be back soon. So you got those guys, you brought them in. You've got these youngsters that are doing awesome. Mint Ukulov is doing great. You've had Leno up there. Maybe we see Zellweger on defense in there. Lacombe's looked sharp as well. So I'm kind of leaning towards, hey, you trade Gibson and go get a forward that can go out there and kick butt. That's kind of what I'm looking at. And I'll kind of hold up, but it kind of goes into the Carlsson thing, and I'll hold on that. But I'm with you, Eddie. I mean, because we've had a hole in the top 6 now because of this development plan. But I don't know if you want to dive into the whole Carlsson thing now, or you got a little bit more to add about trading.
Oh, Minty, you mentioned him. My pants got a little tighter. He's been playing fantastic. He looks like he doesn't look out of place one bit. His defensive game, how smart he is, how physical he is, that is a solid and amazing draft pick the Ducks got. The Ducks, I know we're really critical on the team. We're realists, and we're going to say it how it is. We're not going to sit here and we're not going to be fangirls the whole time on the show. We're going to tell you the truth and how it is. This team, once they get to that point, they're going to be dangerous. They have the best prospect pipeline in the whole entire National Hockey League. I think they have one of the best prospect pipelines in the last few years in any team. They're just great at drafting them. If Drysdale can stay healthy and he can actually produce what he's capable of, it's going to be dangerous. Minty, I just didn't know how good this kid was until I've seen him play these games. He's just great. He looks, he's probably one of my top favorite players on the Ducks right now, especially on the prospect pool. He's everywhere. He's smart. He's a smart hockey player. I'm glad that we picked him up, and I'm glad he's on this team. Like I said, guys, this team's going to be super dangerous and scary for many years to come. We're going to be in the playoffs. Every year we're going to be like Colorado, like Vegas. That just, okay, people know when the Ducks come in, it's going to be a Stanley Cup contending team. Every season this team goes. It's going to happen soon. We have to be patient. We have to just ride out the storm. I mean, at least we're not playing in the college. But, yeah, I can see huge dividends paying for this team and the way they draft it. So I want to leave that on a positive note before we start diving into the Leo Carlsson situation.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. Minty Kulov has been just kicking butt. He scored, too. I got to see his first goal in that game against Carolina, and he's been doing fantastic. I hope that he stays up the whole season. I love the way he's played.
If he doesn't stay up,
fantastic.
Mike, I don't care if I lose my security clearance. I'm going to riot. I'll be a one-man riot wrecking crew in front of Honda Center yelling.
Oh man, yes, but no, I'm with you. I mean, he's looked fantastic. He's looked great. Now the other one that's looked great, but hasn't been able to play all the games is Leo Carlsson. So we'll dive into this, and we both have some strong opinions about this. I think Eddie's the one that's more pissed off, for lack of a better term, than I am. But we finally found out. Pat Verbeek talked to Pierre LeBrun, and he said, okay, this is the plan. Okay, the plan is he will play 2 games a week for the first 2 months. Then they will have a reevaluation and see where he goes from there. And Verbeek did sit down with Leo. He did sit down with the agent, and together they came up with this plan. That's what the reporting is saying. So, I when it first happened, when he didn't play in the back-to-back scenario, I wasn't really that upset because, again, he got hurt in practice, preseason, didn't play a couple games. I kind of get it. Then you had this big hype up of him against Fantelli. The Columbus game, he doesn't play. 2 games in a row. Then they mentioned this. So, to me, I'm glad Verbeek, talked to the agent, talked to the player, had this plan. It wasn't like he imposed this on him and all that stuff. That part, I get it. I'm okay with. But then you had Elliot Freeman chimed in on this, and he talked about comparing Carlsson to Stamkos. and how Stamkos played less than 10 minutes in 3 of his first 4 games, and then in the first 7 of 40 games he played, and it was clock management with Stamkos. So that's the thing that I'm kind of looking at here. To me, if you want to rest him this first season, and Verbeek was saying like he doesn't want him to hit a wall halfway through the season, like I guess apparently that's what happened to Verbeek back in the day. I mean, I kind of get it, but here's the thing. Why not let him play more games, just reduce the minutes? That's kind of where I'm sitting with this. That's the thing that I feel. I think him missing games throws him off, throws him out of a rhythm. And I get there's like a strength and workout plan and things that he's not doing while he's not at the game. That's fine, but nothing compares to game action. I don't care what drills you run. I don't care how many weights you lift. I don't care if you get on the treadmill. I don't care if you run a marathon. I don't care what you do off the ice. What you do off the ice will never, ever compare to what's on the ice. Period. So to me, get him out there. Let him play. This guy is, he's not even 20 years old yet. He's enthusiastic. He's fantastic in what we've seen so far. Creating plays. They posted a stat on there how he's elevated even Zegras' game. Zegras has 0 points when Carlsson doesn't play. When Carlsson does play, Zegras has 1 assist. And that's not a lot. I mean, you're talking about 4 games and 2 games. 4 games without Carlsson and 2 games with him. It's early. It's early. And that'll tie into another thing. I don't want to dive off on the Zegras, but that's a whole other topic. But that's my situation and my take. I'm glad Verbeek talked to the agent. They did all that stuff. Great. That's cool, dude. I'm glad you sat down and talked to him. But I just, to me, is the agent and the player accepting it? I don't know. I don't know why they would accept that, Eddie. I just think there's a better way of going about it.
I think it's bullshit. I think the agent and the player did not accept this at all. It's just the fluff that they want to put out. A little PR move. A nice little PR person wrote it up and said a little fluff like that. There's no way in hell you expect me to believe a player is willing to agree just to play 2 games a week and not be on the ice. You're a freaking athlete and a hockey player. Any sport you play, any person that plays a sport, they don't want to sit back in the sidelines. And they want to play and be part of the game. So I think it's bullshit. You're an agent. You want to showcase your client. You want to maximize the most return and get the most money back from your client you can possibly get. And you sit playing him 2 games, like load management, that's completely bullshit. That's bitch basketball bullshit. I don't know why hockey's so keen on trying to do everything basketball does. That league is a piece of shit league. And those players, like LeBron James, when he freaking has the air conditioning too high, has to go get lifted off the court. Like, come on. This is hockey. This is a man sport. This is a sport that's been doing great for so many years to come. So many great athletes that started as 18, 19 years old playing full games, getting their body trashed up, and being superstar and franchise players. What you're doing, you're keeping a diaper on someone and holding their hand and walking them through it. If it's that case, just send them back to Sweden. Send them to the AHL. Let them play. Let them get in those situations. Let them learn the game. How did you learn to swim, Mike? I'm 36 years old. My brother threw me in the deep end. I would never have learned to swim by myself if my brother never has done that. And you're over here, you're just gonna hold his hand and put a pacifier in his mouth. I'm sorry, Mike. That's fucking bullshit. And it's an embarrassment to the league. Now I understand why Fantality did not and would have not signed with the Ducks. Because the Ducks, what they're doing right now, only shows that they're an embarrassment to the league. They're an embarrassment to the sport. Like Devin Dubik said on NHL Network, that's not hockey. He meant comments about that too. And I think what the Ducks are doing, no matter how much fluff you want to write on it, is the wrong approach to develop someone. And if I were that player, the only thing I'm thinking about is just making my name for myself, playing the best I can, and once that time comes, get the hell out of Anaheim, especially the way they treated him. It's just, that's the dumbest thing you can do. Basketball does that a lot. Anthony Edwards, the Timberwolves. I know of him. He started in that movie with Adam Sandler, but he was quoted saying that he thinks load management is BS too. I know this is not a primary thing for owners and management, but fans have a right, and a lot of fans said that too on Twitter and Facebook. They're paying money to watch the product on the ice, and Anthony Edwards mentioned that too. These fans are paying their hard-earned money, and we're professional athletes. We get paid well. We should go and play, unless you're hurt or something lingering. you should be able to play each and every night. And I think it's just what the Ducks have started and they're doing. Like I said, this is one of the few times I'm embarrassed to be a Ducks fan. I think it's pathetic, and management's pathetic for doing it. The owners are pathetic for allowing it to happen, and it's just like I said, I would hate to lose someone of Carlsson's caliber, but if I'm the player, like I said, I'll be thinking of getting the hell out of the Anaheim team as fast as I can.
Well, and that's the thing too, is the long-term effect of this, which that ties into Zegras, which I'll hold off on that too with his whole benching thing. But with Carlsson too, you're right. I mean, you want to do this quote development plan, the load management, however you want to word it, whatever term you want to use. And I don't agree either. I mean, I understand trying to rest him more often. I'm fine with that, but I almost feel like they're treating him like a goalie. It's like, okay, we're going to play back-to-back games. You can't play in one of the back-to-back games. I mean, you're a forward and you're a teenager. You're not a goalie. Like, that's kind of weird to me. So the method I prefer is clock management, and I think that he should play, but then you play him less. Maybe you don't play him on the penalty kill. Maybe you get him some looks on the power play, or you know what I mean, however you're going to do it. But the other part is, Eddie and I have always talked about this on the shows, chemistry, the intangibles. You're messing with Zegras and Terry and their chemistry. Because here's the thing. He's not going in and out of the lineup playing a bottom six role. He's not even playing a top six role. He's playing on the top line when he plays. So now he goes in, he plays with Zegras and Terry, but then when he's out, Henrique's then going in and playing with Zegras and Terry. So you're messing up the forward line chemistry by doing this. You're better off putting Carlsson in there as much as you can. And if you need to rotate a couple shifts, you rotate a couple shifts and you don't have him play. Plain and simple. Because, and he showed it in those early stats that they were talking about, that Zegras is getting more shots. He's more dangerous when Carlsson is in there playing with him as opposed to when he's not. And it's probably the same with Terry, too. I don't have all the stats on that. But, I think those three together are an awesome line combination. And you should have them together out there playing. And if once in a while you throw Henrique in the middle in a game here and there, fine. But when you're alternating games, and also you had Carlsson miss 2 games in a row. I really don't like that. On top of it, you're not even alternating games. Actually, he's out 2 games. I'm like, what are we doing here? So those are some of the things to look at. The other thing that Eddie brought up, and this is a concern that we kind of touched on this on the last show, and a lot of you touched on this with Drysdale and Zegras and the contract thing. So what happens down the road, when you get towards the end of his entry-level contract? Is he going to be so happy to want to be back with the Ducks, or is he going to want to try and, be traded, or what's going to happen? I mean, that's the issue. And I think if you aren't comfortable with him playing less minutes and playing more games, then, okay, have him go to the goals, and do that, because you're so concerned about him getting used to the North American game as opposed to the European game, with the rinks being different. I get that. I'm on board with that. Then send him down to San Diego. So we asked you guys too. What did you guys think about this, and how many games would he play? Because at this rate, he missed the first 2, so you've got 80 games right after that. He's going to play of the first, technically the next 40, we'll say. He'll probably play 20 games if we're going with this two games a week kind of thing. He's probably, going to be around 20 games or so halfway through the season. So I asked, put out a poll question, what did you guys think? How many games, would he or should he play this season? And 23% of you said 20 or more. 17% said 30 or more. 28% said 40 or more, and then 32 said 50 or more. And that's the other part of this too, is Verbeek said, okay, well, he's going to play more in the second half. Okay, well, if he's going to play more in the second half, he better play 50 to 60 games. If not, if we're going to stay on this pace, then he's going to be playing half the season. So I'm not, to me, I just don't agree with it. If you want to rest him here and there on back-to-back games, that's probably, I could kind of see that. But other than that, Eddie, I just don't agree with the way that they're running this development plan.
Nope, and I'm 100% agree with you too, and I agree with a lot of fans. They got really upset about that, as they should. Like you want to go and watch. I know one fan too was in Columbus watching the game. He wanted to see the little Carlsson Fantali thing. You want to grow the game. That's the way to do it. Number 2 and 3 picks went head to head. That's a big marketing thing. That's huge. But no, once again, the Ducks and NHL or actually the Ducks this time failed to capitalize on something that could have brought a lot more viewers. I mean, even non-hockey fans, yeah, they want to see a number 2 overall going against a number 3 overall. That's just the fun of it. It's the whole storyline of it. Like, it's all about storylines in sports. You want to see that. And look at Fantali. He had a great game. I think the best game of the season he had against the Ducks. Scored a goal, got an assist. Glad the Ducks won that game because I don't know. I was pissed off when Fantali scored that goal. Had to buy another shot at the bar. I was like, screw this. I'm going to get drunk. You can't do that to players. The best way to develop them is let them play. And they want to play. Him taking practices and stuff like that. No, just send him down to San Diego. Let's see how he plays there. You sent Zegras down there. You've done that. Did that. Drysdale, his development really increased because during COVID, you were allowed to send those kind of players back over there in the AHL, and that really helps them. Yeah, you're worried about them getting hit, but it's hockey. Like, I mean, I'm sure hitting will be taken out of hockey soon. The way this league is getting watered down and going, but. I mean, you want to see this player develop the right way. You want to see him try to earn that chance to get a Calder finalist kind of thing, or maybe even win it. You never know how these players can develop. You never know. But Bedard can get hurt or hit a wall or something. And let him play. Let him do his thing, and let him get the chemistry, like you said, Mike. I'm glad you mentioned that. Chemistry is one of the most important things. But you just keep pulling him in and out of the lineup, it's not consistent, and it's just gonna. I think, in my opinion, it's gonna hinder his development. I agree with you. Maybe clock management, maybe not put him in those like high situations. Not play him 15, 20 minutes per game, but get him in games consistently and get him used to it. Yes, he played a lot of hockey back last season, but no, it's welcome to NHL, kid. You're making good money, like product. I text my boss right now too, Mike. I'm sorry. I had to text my manager. I asked her if I could have some load management. I'm working too much. If I could just take some days off just to have a load management on me, and she told me no and started laughing at me. So, yeah. Try texting your boss that, Mike, and see what they say.
Oh yeah. That would not fly at all. And what you're talking about too, that whole thing that ties into the Zegras thing, and we'll dive into the whole Zegras thing now. That Columbus game that you were happy the Ducks pulled it off and won, right? We didn't get to see the big number 2 against number 3, Fantali against Carlsson. So a lot of you were concerned. A lot of questions. We had Diaz 82 asked, was Zegras benching a good call? Ducks fans, what's your opinion of him getting benched? A lot of you upset, obviously. So in that game, the Ducks got behind 1-0, rallied back. They got behind 2-0. And then they ended up tying it in the third 2-2. They go to overtime. Frank the Tank comes through with the win. So Zegras gets benched at the end of the second period, and he does not play the third period. He does not play the overtime. And some of the issues that you could see is on the power play, and there are some things with Zegras. Zegras has not been playing up to the level that we want. He's only got 1 assist in like the first 6 games. He's still hasn't gotten a goal. In these power plays in the second period against Columbus, you could see he had chances to shoot the puck or like pass to Terry. He didn't do it. Kind of goes around the net and like kind of wastes, a scoring chance. And that's what Greg Cronin's been talking about with the Ducks, especially on the power play, is that sometimes they have these chances to score and then they I don't know if they hesitate, they think too much, they second guess, whatever it is, but they're not making the most of their chances. They're getting chances, which is good. They're creating chances on the power play, but they're not always like taking the shot or hitting the open man on a pass and whatnot. And Zegras is doing some of that. Part of it too is Zegras isn't always the greatest on back checking, which we've already known that. So all that taken into account, Cronin's not happy. He benches him. Doesn't play the rest of the game. So again, this is another one where I agree with part of it and I don't agree with part of it. I understand the stuff that went on, and if he wants to bench him because of some of that stuff, he's not hustling as much. He's not making the right plays. He's turning over the puck too much. I get it. I'm 100% on board with that. You got to let players know, and you got to send a message. But to me, maybe you sit him down for 2 or 3 shifts in the beginning of the third period. Maybe you tell him, hey, the 5-minute mark, 6-minute mark, whatever it is, you'll be back in. The thing that I don't like is they took him out of that game, period, and there was not a chance at redemption for Zegras in there. He never got that chance. He had to wait until the next game against Boston. So he didn't have a chance to go out there. This is just me. This is my strategy. I'm not the coach. I'm not there in the locker room. I don't know all that was said and whatnot. But my take is that I would say, hey, man, you're not playing at the level that you are. You're doing A, B, and C. You're screwing some shit up. I'm going to give you a timeout in the beginning of the third period, and then I'm going to throw you back out there. And I expect you to rebound, play better, and do this. Then, if you don't, and you fuck shit up, then okay, then you bench him the rest of the game. That's how I would have handled it. But I don't know. I don't know what was said in the locker room. I don't know if Cronin maybe benched him in one of the games early in the season for a couple minutes, and we didn't see that. And this is kind of his second or third time talking to him about this. I mean, we don't know. But I don't know. I'm all about giving that person a chance to redeem himself and prove himself. And I think it's got to be frustrating because you talk about Carlsson sitting, in the locker room or at home or whatever, not playing games. Well, now you have Zegras. He's not able to be out there in a critical game where they were down 2-1. And yes, they ended up getting that late goal, and then Frank the Tank in overtime, they ended up winning. It all worked out. But I don't know. And then does that go on and affect Zegras with his contract thing later on? That's another part of it. So that's kind of my take on it, Eddie. I don't disagree with the benching, but I just think for the rest of the game, I don't know. I thought it was too much in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, Zegras has that cocky attitude, and he has that kind of personality where, like, he wants to redeem himself. If he would have put out there after benching, I think he would have done some damage. Like, he wants that redemption, but you just taking him out completely, taking him out of overtime. I guess, I mean, I'm not the coach, but I would have done something different. Like, unless something was said in the locker room or he was just giving attitude or pretty much said like F you to the coach and wasn't accepting the responsibility that his defensive play hasn't been up to par. But yeah, I think he has to be better this season. It's 1 assist in game 7 now, and I don't think he has no points this game. He has to be better. I don't know if that little thing in the off season where he signed late, he didn't have that part of training camp, or just a slow start for him. But year 1 of your new contract, it's like it's time to step up and really prove that you're worth the more money that you want eventually in the future. You're supposed to be potentially a franchise player, a game changer for us, but it's not showing these first few games. The sample size isn't really that great. Hopefully, it's just a minor lapse in I guess his play, and he just explodes. But I was expecting him to at least get maybe 70, maybe 75, 80 points this season. And 7 games in, you have 1 assist. It's not looking too good. But I have my hopes up for him, and I hope he just he finds his game. And yeah, it's like you have these highlight reel goals, and you're really talented with the puck, but it's like you want to play center. You have to have that two-way ability. You have to have defensive sound plays. You can't be giving up the puck. You can't be making unnecessary moves. That move in the first game against Boston where he goes against the corner and puts the puck between his legs to pass it, and it gets rocked, and it's like, no, you know what? That was a good hit. He should have got rocked, and like a lot of people were mad about that, but no, I think it was a fantastic hit by McAvoy. It's warranted. Like, keep it simple. Keep it simple, stupid. You don't have to make those unnecessary plays between your legs and put yourself in a vulnerable position. You could have made a simple, easy pass and created that offense without doing the whole fancy stuff. I like the fancy stuff. I like the goals. I like the fact that he brought Anaheim on the map as far as like coverage and media with everything he does. But it's a time and place for it. Right now, you're supposed to be honing your game. You're supposed to be helping your team and kind of evolving into a leader and help the team get some wins and help it keep it simple. But yeah, I'm not really too impressed with his play, and I wish that he just steps up a little bit more and starts putting those numbers on the board that we desperately need.
Yeah, and that's where I do agree with the benching, because like you said, that it's not just one game. You only got 1 assist, no goals yet. I mean, and you're right. We were projecting him, get 70 points, maybe 80 points a season. I mean, now he's on pace to get like 15. I mean, it's kind of crazy. I mean, he should get more than that, but maybe that ties into the whole Carlsson thing. Him playing some games with him, and then Henrique and switching that up. That could be a factor too. So I'm with it. But here's the other thing too. Are you gonna bench everybody else for the same thing? Are you gonna do the same thing? Like say another game down the line, someone else does it. Are you gonna tell them they're out for the rest of the game if it's say the first or second period, or even Zegras? Say Zegras keeps not playing up to par, and it's the end of the first period. You're gonna tell him, hey, dude. You're not going to play the second and third period, and that's where I kind of have an issue, and that's why I was more about giving a short-term timeout, giving him a chance to redeem himself, and then if there's another game where he's doing really poorly and doing all this dumb stuff, then you hit him harder. I mean, to me, there's nowhere else to really go. You already benched him for a whole period and overtime, so what are you going to do? I hope he picks up his game like we all want to, but say he has a really crappy first period in another game. You're gonna say, hey Z, hang out on the bench, dude. You're not gonna play the rest of the game. I mean, I don't know. That's the thing. I'm all about progressive discipline. It's kind of I'm a supervisor at my work. I've been doing that for almost 2 years now, and I've had to discipline people, and I don't like it. I'm not a fan of it, but I'm all about progressive discipline. You start out small and then you go big. It's like you give them a warning, then you give them a written reprimand. Then if you have to give them time off, then you give them time off. I just feel like he's like, well, you're out for the rest of the game. You're just not up to it. And granted, I think it's a combination of all the games, but that's kind of my concern. And then if you don't do that to the other players. Is it going to be a situation like you talked about with Carlsson, Eddie? Is Z going to go, okay, well, at the end of my 3-year contract, I know where I'm going. It's anywhere but Anaheim. And that's something I'm kind of afraid of, Eddie.
Yeah, you know what? Matthew Tkachuk made that clear, too. You can be an RFA, and you have a lot more rights than you think. Matthew Tkachuk informed Calgary that he does not want to re-sign, and he's not part of their long-term plans. He made that public, him and his agent. When you say that, it's like, okay, you can't keep that player. Number one, it's bringing that toxic environment in the locker room, having someone that doesn't want to be there. And number two, it's just like you gave every other team leverage. I think now, with the way hockey's going to go, I think the RFAs are going to have a lot more control of what they're going to do. They're not going to wait those 8 years or when they're above 27 to actually pick a team they want. I mean, you already see it with college players already, that they can just opt to go to college for 3 years. Like Fantelli, like I said, there was no way he was going to sign in Anaheim. He said, he made it clear in interviews that his number one choice was Columbus. He wanted to be there. Interviews about Anaheim, he was just kind of skeptical, like whatever. He wasn't a player that I can bet everything I can right now that he was not going to sign with Anaheim. He was going to opt the college route, play there for a few years, or maybe even inform Anaheim and do a Lindros thing, like, hey, I'm not going to re-sign with you guys. If it takes me playing college for 3 years, which in college they can have endorsements now, they can make money in doing that, then so be it. And he would have been UFA come those 3 years after. So I think a lot of these players have a lot more say in where they're going to go. And with Zegras too, you can't really just hold his hand and baby him. I get it, discipline. I get that. You have to learn your lesson, but not even a chance to redeem yourself. Not even a chance to let him go back and see how he's going to react from that. You just keep him on the bench the whole time. Like that was just a dumb decision on his part. I'm glad the Ducks got a win from that, but I mean things could have been different. But Cronin just, I guess, had that old school mentality, which I'm an old school person. I love that, but I mean you can't do that now in these days. Like these players need to be kind of cradled a little bit and babied. I think Cronin should have given him that chance to go over there and see what he can do and see how he bounces back from the adversity that he had in that benching. So,
yeah, that's the thing too. Is I think you got to find that happy medium, right? When I talked to the players before the season started, and I think we mentioned it on the 1 or 2 shows ago, the players, some of them were excited, but also like anxious for Cronin to come in because they knew he was more of a discipline type coach than Dallas Aikens was, and some of them were all for that, and they were like, okay, yeah, we get it, but yeah, you got to find a happy medium. And I mean, you saw when they won the game too, they did an interview with him, and he couple expletives in there, and he's just like, all right, everybody, we got to be out of here at 11:35 and get on the plane, and we're out. Like, okay. I mean, kind of reminds me of, Kurt Russell and Miracle, right? When he's on the ice with the guys, again, like, and I'm all for that too. Just like you, Eddie. You and I, generationally, we're a little bit more old school. And, we'll take that. I'm all for that. And that's why I am for him benching Zegras. Him not playing well and not doing it. Well, hey, here you bench him. I just think you should at least give him one more chance in that game to go out there and try to make up for it. That's the only point that I really thought in there. But the other part of this, too, is, and, I mean, you have to give Verbeek and Cronin credit. If they say something, they're going to do it. So that's another thing. You know where you stand with them. So I'm pretty sure Cronin told him at the end of the second period, hey, dude, you're not playing the rest of the game. And he did stick to it. So he's not bending with what he's telling. He's not wishy-washy. So you got to at least give him credit there. For Beek, same way. These guys are ultra competitive. They're both hard-nosed guys, which I love. I love all that. But if you piss them off, look out. Because you're going to be in the doghouse. And Zegras was in the doghouse for the rest of that game against Columbus, right or wrong. So that's one thing. You know what you're going to get with both of these guys. That's the one thing I can say. I mean, they aren't going to bend. Right, Eddie? They're again, brother, again.
Yeah, so... I mean, hopefully this is water under the bridge, and hopefully they had a nice discussion, and you kind of go from there, and Zegras can hopefully light a fire under his ass and start producing how he's supposed to be producing. But yeah, it's wait and see, I guess, Mike. We gotta wait and see. So speaking of games, Mike, too, I don't know, it popped in my mind right now. I'm looking forward to going to a game with you. I missed you, man. And then
I know we gotta figure that out.
Yeah, your birthday game too. I know Ruth asked me about the tickets, stuff. I hope I wrote her. She's really nice. She's really cool. So I hope she's not just thinking we forgot about it. But no, I'm still planning on that. I want to go. So I just gotta. I know our schedules are really crazy right now, but I'm looking forward to sitting behind the bench. Maybe we can give Cronin some of our ideas and he'll take them, or maybe he'll just yell at us. And I probably wouldn't piss him off. He looks pretty hardcore to me. So. But yeah, we got to figure out what date works, and we go to the game. Be a fun time.
Yeah, for sure. We'll make it happen, dude. Let's just kind of wrap it up. Our last segment that we usually do, kind of the league news here to wind down the show. Just a couple little things that happened, and nothing too big lately. But you had the Senators. Shane Pinto got suspended for half the season for gambling. Which is kind of crazy. I guess he wasn't gambling on hockey, but he was gambling on other sports, Eddie, and now he's gone for half the season. Kind of crazy. I'm curious, like the specifics, but league very big on not gambling on sports.
Yeah, that was just kind of weird that he gets that many games of gambling on sports that's not related to hockey, but then you can have a video coach, pretty much rape kids. And Chicago gets away with it with a slap in the wrist. It's funny how the league works that way. And yeah, I'll call Chicago out on that too, because that's still bullshit. But it's a weird situation, and it's just where I know the NFL has some rules about you can't place bets in the stadium of other sports. I don't know. It's a weird situation. I want to look more into it, and hopefully there's more details that pop out. I know all these stupid these analysts and media personalities. They want to jump to the story and jump to conclusions and smear someone's name. And all the big ones, too. Elliot Freeman, all of them. All they want to do is just throw something out first without having the facts. And everyone assumed that he was gambling and doing Evander Kane kind of stuff and gambling on hockey. But that wasn't the case. He didn't bet on hockey. It's just irresponsible reporters that keep ruining the game and ruining people just for their own personal benefit because they're so pathetic in life. That's all they have. But 40 or 41 games, that's excessive, I think. Other things, I don't know. I guess I'll leave it at that. I don't want to say something on this show that's going to get me in trouble or get us in trouble or blackballed or canceled or whatever. I'll leave it at that. I think it's excessive. Hopefully It doesn't affect his career. He was a good player. He still has he's still an RFA waiting for a contract. It seems like Ottawa rescinded all of their offers toward him, so it seems like he's after this 40-game suspension, he'll have to just or during it, he'll have to sign like a qualifying offer and go from there and kind of redeem himself. But I think he got thrown under the bus, and I think those games, especially not betting against on hockey, is excessive.
Yeah, 41 games is a lot. It's pretty crazy. Curious to see, how that all pans out in the long run.
Kuznetsov too. He was actually caught with cocaine. Cocaine in the background. He said, "What did he say?" But it was like the powder, or it was something different. And then he said, "Oh, well, it wasn't mine." It's like he got like 4 or 5. He got less than 10 games, and then he tested positive. And he tested positive.
Not my pants.
Yeah, and he tested positive for cocaine, and he just got banned from playing from Russia, like the juniors or Olympics for a while. But NHL just kind of slapped on the wrist, like, man, maybe Bettman's a supplier of some good quality stuff. Maybe him and what's that guy Pablo Escobar had some ties back in the day. Damn, I guess you can do cocaine and you can have a pedophile working in your team, and that's not bad. But God forbid you bet on any sport, and that's bad shit.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But yeah, it's crazy stuff, man.
Well, the good thing too, though, Mike, like the player Pinto, his statement, he took full responsibility. He's not gonna contest the suspension. So he took responsibility for his actions as really mature of a young player doing that. So I can applaud him that. But like I said, and we both agree, that's too excessive amount of time for a suspension.
No good. Yeah, exactly. I mean, just own it and move on. That's all you can really do at that point. The only other kind of news that kind of came up that's kind of interesting was about the draft and decentralizing it. I don't understand why there's a push for this, Eddie, but I guess apparently they want to do the draft and not have everybody in the same building. Kind of weird idea. I don't know. What do you think about this?
I don't like it. Once again, the National Hockey League wants it to be like basketball rules and stuff like that. Why do they keep changing the game that was perfect in the beginning with? Like, they're changing the game. They want new fans, but like, I don't know. It seems like a slap in the face to all the loyal fans that have been following this sport for years and years. And every time they do something different, the ads on the jerseys, the helmets, like it just keeps lying. I don't know. Honestly, I think hockey is going to be a dying sport. I think that they're going to do more harm than anything. Even myself, I love hockey. That was the best thing like that happened in my life. But even I'm getting turned off by the fact of watching the NHL anymore. And it sucks that I lost that complete fire for the game. But it's just things like that. Why change it? That's like one of the greatest things. Fans go, they have a great time, great experiences. You have all the GMs that can talk face to face and make deals done. You have stories from players that remember their first time at the draft. Now, what do you want to do? Just hold it and call the player like, hey, you got drafted. I don't know. I think it's stupid. And I think this league is trending down in the wrong direction. And it's only a matter of time before I just kind of just punch my card and check out and go follow some badminton team or golf or some other boring sport. Because hockey is just, things like that just irritate me. It's not just like old school mentality. It's just like you're taking away from experience of a lifetime. All because you're complaining about having traveling to one certain location for the draft. Like it's so stupid. This league is just, I don't know, Mike. I'm getting really frustrated with the league is. It's kind of going down. I'm gonna stick to watching the KHL. Maybe it could be a Russian version of Ducks and Pucks I can run.
Well, the other part of the draft thing too is like you get everybody in the building, and you have your teams all together. And you have the GMs that run around and talk to each other. You have that in-person, communication, impromptu meetings, deals get done, all that kind of stuff. And that'll go by the wayside because now it's back to picking up the phone and calling other people. I don't know. I'm not really a big fan of decentralizing it. I think just keep rotating it and having it in place and I think that's a good thing for the league, and I think people get excited. You have all the usually the guys that think they're going to go in the first couple rounds are there with their families, and it's a special moment for them, and they go up on stage and they do all that stuff. I think that logistically it'd be a nightmare because you have them up there, but then like, what are you going to do? Not have a representative from your team to go up there and like congratulate them? I mean, that's the whole part of it. You have the owner gets up there, the coach gets up there, the scouts get up there. They give them the jersey, they take the photos. Especially on day one, the first round. That's a big deal. And then obviously you have the later rounds come on, but it's still a big deal for all these players. And I think you're taking a little bit away from it. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm not really a fan of that as well. So. With that, kind of went down the show. Some kind of announcements and things going on with us. We started a Discord channel. If you want to join it, on Ducks and Pucks, it's open to everybody. It's not a private channel. You don't have to pay to go on there. I don't believe in doing that. But if you want to go on there, I've got a bunch of people signed up recently. We're having a group chat on there and talking, having a really good time. If you want to do that, you can join our Patreon as well. You'll get free gear on there too, and we're also doing our watch parties at Noble Ale Works. If you go to Noble Ale Works too, by the way, during a Duck game and you're wearing Duck stuff, when you order, tell them Ducks and Pucks, and you'll get a discount off of your order. So that's something to look forward to as well if you make it out there for those. Just a couple things. I don't know. The world's crazy. I hate to end on a note like this, but a couple things that have happened. I couldn't remember if we did talk about it last show or not, but for the Ducks, Nick Cordelius sadly passed away in a motorcycle accident. So I just want to share our sympathy for all the players that played with him and family and friends and whatnot, and obviously everybody that's fans of him. Just very, very tragic. And then, of course, we just had the active shooter in Maine as well. So, same thing. Sympathy goes out to all those people out there as well. It's just kind of a crazy time right now. So that's why, people that know me, we talk about how we are. I'm a positive person. Your outlook. Obviously bad things happen in life, and we can't always control all those kind of things, but what you can control is how you act and how you respond. And it's unfortunate these couple of things have happened to Eddie, but I always use that as a reminder to people that, hey, live your life, do the stuff that you love to do. Don't hurt anybody. If you got grievances against other people, try and resolve them. You just never know when your time's going to be up. So I guess that's the best thing I can say, in these tragic type situations is you can't dwell on it. You can't live in fear and be depressed 24/7. Life does go on. Of course, you mourn for those and you feel for those and you give support to those when the negative things happen. But enjoy the time that you have. As you guys know, I lost my mom on New Year's Eve on 2019. I was at the Ducks game in Vegas, and she's obviously the reason why this whole thing started. She's the one that bought me the tickets to the very, very first game. And I know Eddie lost his dad, and I know a bunch of you out there have lost significant others, especially in the last couple of years. So, there's stuff that goes on, but that's really all I have to say about those things. I don't know if there's anything you want to add, Eddie, before we wrap up here.
No, I think you said it perfectly. My heart goes out to all the families and stuff like that. It's tragic, like you said. You have to live life like it's your last. That's how I live. Like Mike mentioned, did lose my dad in January. It sucks. It hurts, but you know what? He gave me the greatest gift I could ever get. He got me into hockey, and he's the reason why that Mike and I are brothers. Like he's not even my friend. Mike, you're my brother, and I told you this numerous times, and. Like, I'm glad 100%. I met you. Like, I feel like just being your friend makes me a better person. Being your brother makes me a better person. So, I'm glad that we can do this. I'm glad that we have the following base that we do. And I'm just glad I honestly get to talk to you one-on-one. I don't care if we had 0 followers. Just talking hockey with you and just kind of connecting with you is really good. So, yeah, let's end it on a positive note, Mike. Let's do something. I hope you have a good time in Texas. Do me a favor. Take a shot for me, buy me a shot glass, and then when I go to Colorado, I'll take a shot for you and then buy you a shot glass, and we'll exchange those or take shots at your house from those shot glasses that we bought each other. Let's do that and have that positive experience.
I'm totally down.
and definitely looking forward to going to a game. If we can get a game in soon before you leave or when you come back, and then we can coordinate when we can get the game for Roots tickets to sit behind the bench and be celebrities for a day. Looking forward to making my my Ducks debut on TV. So that'll be fun.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah.
100%.
Mike, thank you again for everything. Thank you for bringing me on. Thank you for allowing me to kind of just roam free and kind of just talk how I talk for Ducks hockey. I'm glad I do this, and I'm glad that it just has that connection to the game. So I really thank you for that. And Ducks just scored.
Yeah,
by
I'm
the
with
way.
you too.
I think Leo Carlsson just scored, Mike.
Oh, at the very end with the empty net.
No. Ducks are down 3-1, now 3-2. Yep, Carlsson scored a second goal of the season against the Bruins. 1:55 left. And yeah.
See if they pull it out.
Should we stay on recording until the last minute of the game?
Or actually, I think it looks like Boston scored.
No. Carlsson just scored. A tap-in. Am I behind?
Really?
Am I behind on the feed?
I don't know, because it's showing 4-1 now, Boston.
Oh, okay, never mind. I'm behind. Damn it. Well,
I don't know.
Well, Carlsson scored. Yeah, I'm behind on the feed. You know what? The Bally Sports app kind of sucks. I'm not gonna lie. So I gotta.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. It's almost over here.
You've seen 4-1?
Yeah, it's 4-1. It's 4-1 Boston.
No, it should be 3-2.
I don't know. That's what the NHL freaking thing is saying.
Oh, okay, Mike. Okay, we'll go off topic again. The new app sucks. It's terrible.
But you're right. No, Leo did score. So I don't know what the website. It is 3-2. I don't know why the NHL website's saying it's 4-1.
It's terrible. So you know what?
Don't know.
I'm just gonna suck it up, and I'm gonna get Spectrum cable just so I can have a live game. This is ridiculous. The Bally's app, it's terrible. It sucks. So I'll just spend the extra money, and that's my point too, Mike. You want to grow the game, but you make it so hard for fans to watch the game. Like, that's ridiculous. But hey, you know what? So we can end on a positive note. Leo Carlsson has his second goal of the season.
Big time. And you're right. I don't know what it is. The NHL, the website too, and the app is horrible. But yeah, it's 3-2. So see if the Ducks can pull this sucker out.
They definitely need a better production team for software development. Like, man, that's just...
Dude, you know what's hard on the NHL website too is like looking up stats.
Yep.
I don't know. It's like the screen is all screwed up. I don't know. It's just hard to read stuff. That's another thing. Like, NHL, please fix your website. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, it's just it's got issues.
And you know what? A lot of fans have been commenting on that. A lot of fans are like saying that like the app sucks. It's terrible. It's just.
Well, then look right now. You're seeing on the thing that Carlsson scored, but then the website was saying it was 4-1 Boston. Like they're not even posting the right scores. Like, come on. You know what I mean? You're like, hey, Carlsson scored. I'm like, well, the website says that. I'm like, what's going on? Like, I don't know why they redesigned it. I thought the website was fine last season.
Yep, it was perfect. Oh, Mike, too. What's up with fantasy hockey? That's what I wanted to mention on the show before we got off. We're like 12 and 13. Yeah. We're getting our asses kicked. I
know. I'm not doing so great. Those of you that are in the league, you can laugh at my team and whatever. I'm doing good this week. I'm killing whoever's playing me this week. You're getting blown out. But
who are you playing
pretty
this
much
week?
5. I gotta look. I forget who it is. But I'm killing it right now.
The mighty one.
I'm rocking it. Yeah, and I'm rocking and rolling. I'm beating him 10-3 right now this week. But it's still got a couple days to go. But I've been 500 so far, so the rest of you guys can laugh at me.
The mighty one is Joshua.
Oh, it is Josh? Okay.
So yeah, thank you guys for the fantasy thing too. Trying to revamp it, make it better. I wanted to do a paid one. If you guys are interested in doing a paid one, maybe a few more weeks into the season, we can all pitch in money. Mike, I can just give you the money, and we can do a paid league for those that are interested in that. We can just do a draft. Oh, Ducks scored. Ducks scored.
Yeah, it's tied. Oh, man.
Terry scored, it seems like. Yep.
Oh, man. Might have to end this now and go watch the overtime.
Yeah, Michael, cut the show off. It was good to actually have a live feed in the game. We don't have to talk about Boston game on the next show, but.
And hold the phone. The Ducks just won. Holy crap. Mason McTavish scored in overtime. The Ducks rallied from 3-1 down to come back and win 4-3. Amazing. As we were talking about, during the show, that the Ducks were losing, they came back and tied it, and now they've won. Carlsson gets the goal started 2 minutes to go in the game to pull them within one. Terry ties it up, and then Carlsson assists on the overtime winner. Wow. What a game, and what a statement by Carlsson. As we talked about earlier in the show, he should play more often. Wow, amazing. Well, we'll wrap up the show on this exciting note and go celebrate, as everyone else should. The Ducks stun the Bruins in overtime and win, knocking them off. They were undefeated, but no more. Wow. And we'll wrap up the show with that, and let's go Ducks.